It's the Infectious Groove Podcast, part of the Odd Pods Media Network. Recorded from Detroit, Michigan, and Jacksonville, Florida. The Infectious Groove Podcast is your source for jammy jams, album reviews, and the best in-depth music discussion. Thanks for joining us. Now here are your hosts.
Well, hello, my name is Russ, and welcome to the penultimate episode of the Infectious Groove Podcast, at least for now, is what I'm saying. We'll probably have episodes now and again in the future, but the audio podcast will have one more episode after this. We have like 160 some episodes that you can go out and check out if you've just found us recently, or even after this season is over. If you've found us and you want to check out more of the show, there is plenty for you to go check out. Plus, we still have our YouTube channel will always be active and producing new content. So if you have subscribed to the Infectious Groove Podcast, but not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, you should definitely go do that over at Infectious Groove Music on YouTube, because we have 3 videos every single week. And there are already hundreds of videos on there for you to take a look at, with more coming every single week. Having said that, the business of the Infectious Groove Podcast still has a couple of episodes to go. And this week we are going to do a totally epic cover battle. Is a Bob Dylan written classic song, Knockin' on Heaven's Door, against the Guns N' Roses version of it that was very well known in the early 90s. And we'll actually get into that, because this is kind of an interesting cover battle. This is one that kind of evolved over time. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Joining me this week to help me out with that is a person you've heard on this show several times, and you've heard us talk about his own podcast. He's actually had a couple of different podcasts in the past. His name is Seth, and you are joining me this week to talk about Bob Dylan versus Guns N' Roses. But if people want to hear you talk about a number of other topics, how would they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Russ mentioned, I have been a part of a few other podcasts. None of them are currently active right now. The one that I do about music is called the Trouble Podcast. And I just sort of record episodes as I see fit. So there are episodes for you to listen to, of course. And you never know when I might drop another one.
Yeah, that's solid. And that's one thing I talk about with this show too, is I don't think we ever put out a bad episode per se, but I do feel like definitely this show, and I'm sure other shows, start to become like a slave to, we have to get an episode out, and like I say, I don't, this could be ego talking. I don't feel like we've ever put out a bad episode of the show, but I know that we put out episodes that I haven't felt great about. Right. There
was that one with Michelle that you could maybe consider a bad episode.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's over.
Just the one.
Yeah.
Just one.
That's about 100 of the 160 episodes that we've put out. But so, yeah, in going forward, this show will very much feel the same way. If the spirit moves me and I decide I'm really fired up about something, I may put out an episode or even do another season or something along those lines. But in my opinion, Seth's got the right way to do it. Just do it when you're moved to do it. And having said that, if you do want to hear, it's not like there's any shortage of episodes out there. Go check out, Seth on social media and subscribe to any of the shows, and you can check out what he's been doing. Having said that, talking about what we've been doing, we've got some feedback share from the last couple of episodes of this program. So let's get into that.
Feedback, Joe.
Don't worry about that. Right. There's rock and roll me without feedback.
It's funny you mentioned that, Seth, about the Michelle moments on the show, because we have some feedback on that. Actually, it's the last piece of feedback I have to read, and it came from YouTube today, but it was very funny. Regarding the episode we did last week about music biopics, Dayton from the Docu Bay podcast writes in and says, "Great episode. I love the Buddy Holly story. Gary Busey nailed it." And I totally forgot to mention that during the episode. Have you ever seen that one?
I haven't seen it in a while, but I do remember enjoying it.
Okay, this is going to sound like I'm going on a limb here. Have you ever seen Ray?
I have not.
Okay, well, I'm trying to think of another one. Walk the Line?
Yeah, I've seen Walk the Line.
Okay, so you know how before you see Walk the Line, everybody tells you what a good job Joaquin Phoenix did, and you're like, I'll be the judge of that. And then you see it, and you're like, damn, he did. That's how Gary Busey was in the Buddy Holly story. Like it's one of those things that people just talk about all the time. They go, oh no, Gary Busey was awesome in that. But then when you see it, you're like, Jesus, but Gary Busey was awesome in that. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I know they say that about Ray too. I just haven't seen it. I don't know. I have like a contentious personal relationship with Jamie Foxx that nobody else is, not even he's involved with. But yeah.
No, I get that. this is a much longer thing, but I say that a lot of times about celebrities. Like Lauren will say like, hey, do you want to watch that? And I'll be like, no, her and I aren't talking right now. Or, you know,
Yeah.
like, yeah. Dave from Beer in Front writes in and says, and this is a great question, Dave. So if I leave feedback in the future and there's no feedback segment, how will this work? Also, when is the new Michelle is Awesome podcast starting up? So regarding feedback, I mean, I think if anything, I'm overactive on Twitter. So anytime anybody has any feedback about past episodes or whatever we put out on YouTube, yeah, just feel free to throw the feedback out there on Twitter, and trust me, I'll scoop it up and, you know, we'll all have fun with it. Regarding when is the Michelle is Awesome podcast starting? First of all, I would never endorse a podcast with a lie for a name. And second of all, that podcast is going to start up just as soon as Michelle puts the time and energy into creating and producing that podcast. So
I thought you were going to say that podcast will start just as soon as Michelle remembers her Twitter password.
Right. Yeah. So never. And so you said the same thing I did. Both of us said never.
Never. It's not going to happen. I would listen to it though if it did happen.
Right. Yeah. No. Well, never mind. So would I. So would I. It's never going to happen. But yes, I would as well. Jamie Porter writes in regarding one of Michelle's finer points from last week's episode. And he says, not only does Colin Hay have a lazy eye, he named his record label Lazy Eye Records. And also regarding music biopics, I don't care for if they're historically accurate at all. I watch them for the music. Which I get. I
didn't want to start a big argument with you on this episode about it because the topic was discussed, but I understand your point, and for me, that's not a deal breaker.
No, we'll make this quick, but like I said on the episode, the Elvis one is wildly inaccurate historically, but the overall point of who Elvis was and what he did, and in my opinion, how the second half of his life went, that to me, I don't care that it's historically inaccurate. Like they conveyed. Let me put it this way, and this is awfully pretentious. This is awfully pretentious of me to say this, but I feel like they covered Elvis's life the way Elvis would have wanted it covered. Okay. Whereas Freddie Mercury, if Freddie could see that biopic, he would be like, but that's not how it went though. Like, I think it's ridiculous to put his diagnosis in front of Live Aid for the drama of it. Like that.
It's a double entendre.
Well, it totally detracts from what Queen did as a band at Live Aid.
Sorry, that was probably inappropriate.
No. I get it. I'm just saying, like, that's why I don't care if they mess with things here and there or whatever else. It's just when you, in my opinion, what they did with the Queen one, when they moved it around that much, you're physically taking away from it. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I'll throw myself to the woods, or to the wolves, I should say. I loved the Bohemian Rhapsody biopic. I mean, I thought, inaccuracies aside, it was very compelling storytelling. Yeah. Despite the person that directed the majority of it.
My big issue with it was just that end. Like, it kind of ruined the whole thing for me. So,
I mean, I cried every time.
Yeah.
So they accomplished what they wanted to.
I don't know if I seriously don't know if I mentioned this during the biopic episode. And if I didn't, I'd be surprised. But the biopic that makes me cry every single time, like no matter what, is Selena. If you watch, have you seen it?
I don't know if I know her story.
Okay. Well, if I even try and tell you how they handle the end of the movie, like I will literally get choked up trying to explain to you. Like that's how much I cry when I watch the end of the movie. Cause like, especially when you know something like that is coming, but the way they handle it in the movie, 10 minutes before it happens, I start choking up. Like, and then I'm like full on ugly cry by the end of it. It's terrible. Anyways, speaking of videos and whatnot, over on YouTube, we had our friend Trevor left us a comment that says, I wish there was a video of your podcast, the top 5 Michelle what the fuck moments. And
you're gonna need more than 5.
Well, slots. No, I said first of all, I should be able to dig up 5 pretty easily. And second of all, I mean, I don't need video for that. I can dig up 5 audio ones and do that episode, that video. So that may be coming to our YouTube channel, just kind of as a tribute to our queen. I will have to find 5. I will have to have her give me 5 Michelle approved pictures of herself to use to put on the screen. Yeah, that's what's going to hold that video up.
I think you're gonna get like 2.5 good pictures.
Right. No kidding. Yeah. Just recycle through them for the other. But like Dave asked, where do you leave the feedback? You leave the feedback on any sort of social media. You can leave a comment on our YouTube page. We will at least do this one more again next week on that program when Michelle and Kyle are with me. We will go through feedback one more time. Speaking of segments, we got a couple times to go. We're going to do this one more time. Our Jammy Jams. It is the segment where we tell you what we've been listening to. And I have a wild bunch of stuff. And I don't know, maybe Dayton's comment is what got this stuck in my head. But 3 songs that I'm going to mention have just been randomly stuck in my head this week for no reason whatsoever. And then one album in particular I've just had stuck in my head. And I know why that is. But one song that's been stuck in my head is a song called Every Day by Buddy Holly, which
great song.
I just have to assume that it's just because Dayton mentioned the Buddy Holly story, but like I haven't had like That'll Be the Day or anything, or Peggy Sue or anything. It's literally been like every single day at some point in the day, I have that song every day in my head. So
it's so catchy. It's so fun to sing.
It's so good. Yeah. The melody is super cool to sing. Yeah.
I'm really like trying to restrain myself and not sing it
horribly
into the microphone.
No, I know. I know. I've been walking around the house doing that. Another one, a song that couldn't be any different. And this one, I don't know why it popped into my head the other day, but Thomas Dolby, She Blinded Me with Science, which I think is it's one of the most unique songs I've ever heard in my life. And it's just
Is that country?
No. She Blinded Me with Science is not country. That was your very own Michelle moment just now. Like
I had to have one. Well, yeah. I was like, I've never heard of this person before. So like the guy's name sounded like a country artist.
When we're done with this episode, I want you to go on Spotify and look up She Blinded Me with Science by Thomas Dolby. And then you tell me if it's a country song.
Is it in surround sound?
I don't believe so. It came
Dolby surround sound.
Good one.
Oh, sorry, everyone.
Yeah. I put on a tweet the other day that it is time that the song Faithfully is better than Open Arms by Journey. It's time we all start talking about it.
Agreed.
So I think Faithfully is, if not my favorite Journey song, it's up there. And I think it crushes Open Arms. And even though Open Arms gets all the attention. So I've had that stuck in my head. Then lastly, and this one here, again, I think is just because I recently, I had a gift card to burn. So I purchased an album off of, on vinyl off of the internet, and it got delivered. And I think that's why I've had it just stuck in my head constantly. And that's Pearl Jam Versus. So, Go, Animal, Rearview Mirror, Glorified G. I mean, that record is just so ridiculously good. I personally revere that album as, if not the best sophomore album of all time, it's in the discussion of best sophomore records of all time. So a weird variety of stuff that I've been listening to lately were my Jammy Jams. Seth, what were your Jammy Jams this past week?
So, I like to come with a handful of Jammy Jams. Mm-hmm. I could go on forever, but, I try to limit my Jammy Jams. Right. But starting my Jammy Jams this week, I know Russ doesn't know this, and maybe not anybody else listening to this podcast knows this, but the Renaissance World Tour started this week.
Yes. And
also, too, you if you've been listening to the podcast, you know about my relationship and love for Beyonce and how Russ, Kyle, and Michelle relate to that. So I just had to have one of her songs as one of my Jammy Jams this week because I've been listening to her a lot. And I chose End of Time from her album 4.
I am at least a couple of Beyonce records behind. 4 is older though, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely like mid 2000s.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah. All right. I don't even know if I'd say Kyle and Michelle hate Beyonce. Maybe they do. I don't really hate Beyonce. She's just kind of there for me, so I should catch up more on her stuff than I have, but I think I do know through that.
Yeah, because that's like her last 3 albums were, Renaissance. Why am I blanking? Because I'm her self-titled and Lemonade. So this is even before those 3.
Gotcha.
So we're definitely a few albums back. But yeah, I've been watching all of the little clips from the Renaissance tour, and I've just been just wishing that I was going.
Yeah.
it's like 3 hours of just Beyonce.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
Right
But and she does great covers. She does a cover of Mary J. Blige's "I'm Going Down."
Nice.
That made me tear up a little bit. And she does a mashup of her song "Love on Top" with Jackson 5's song "I Want You Back."
Nice.
Yeah. So I was like, I gotta mention that. This is Russ's area right here. If I can get Russ to like Beyonce, this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah. She did, I think it might have been, I can't remember. She did a high profile performance. It might have even been the Super Bowl where her outfit was almost exactly an homage to Michael's outfit that he wore at the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she's not afraid to show support for MJ, which is good because there are so many people who don't in the entertainment world. So, but anyway, so not a surprise that you've been listening to Beyonce. What else?
Yes. So like you guys mentioned last week, I think it was Lauren mentioned some Elton John songs. I had watched the Elton John farewell show, quote unquote farewell show from the Dodger Stadium. And that made me fall in love with the song Philadelphia Freedom.
Nice.
And so that's on my list. We have a band that maybe not a lot of people have heard of, but I love them a lot, called the Scarlet Opera. And there's this really great song called Riot. And when I describe this group to other people, I say they're basically like the love child of Freddie Mercury and the French singer Mika.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So it's a lot like that, or like Sister Sisters. It's like that sort of realm. It's very good.
Can't go wrong with that.
Can't go wrong with that. It's in very danceable music. Another song I have that I've been listening to a lot and actually just discovered recently is Bastille's cover of Come As You Are from Nirvana.
Oh, nice.
They did it. I think it was from an MTV Unplugged show, but my God, it's just like such a great cover. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool and very stripped down and amazing. So definitely suggest, and you can find it on iTunes or Spotify, so it can be included in the playlist.
Right on.
So very cool.
Cool.
And
go ahead.
Then sorry.
No, go right ahead.
I always push it with my Jammy Jams, but also I just wanted to give a quick little shout out to the new Foo Fighters single "Rescued."
Yeah, I dig it. I only listened to it a couple of times, but I'm looking forward to the rest of the record based on.
It's gotten me really excited for a new record.
Yeah. I don't know if we're all ready for that so soon, but if they're able to put it together, then far be it for me to say they shouldn't. So
yeah, definitely.
And I like the music a great deal that they put together on it. So.
Yeah.
So those were our Jammy Jams. Seth briefly mentioned that we have a Spotify playlist, so that will be going at least for the next couple of weeks. So you will have these songs that I said were my Jammy Jams, some songs from Pearl Jam versus, like I mentioned, and then I will look up and put on all these songs that Seth mentioned for his Jammy Jams, and then we will put the two songs on the playlist that are the second half of the episode. Speaking of which, we are going to take a quick break. When we get back, we are going to go into the Totally Epic cover battle, and we're going to talk about the song Knockin' on Heaven's Door, the Bob Dylan original versus the Guns N' Roses cover. And I should say covers, because we're going to have to get into a couple versions from Guns N' Roses. You are listening to the Infectious Groove Podcast on the Odd Pods Media Network.
This is Beer in Front. Every week I'll talk about a beer that maybe we've forgotten along the way while we get those check-ins and badges. Being the Chicago beer guy, I'll also talk about great craft beer in the city of Chicago. And remember, sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet. That's Beer in Front, part of the Odd Pods Media Network.
Once upon a time.
Boring.
It was the best of times. It was the worst.
You got that right.
What's your problem?
We want new stories.
Hi, it's Frankie.
And Garrett. And we host the Ever Trending Story, a weekly podcast where we bring to life a fictional story created by our own minds and some of the hottest, craziest trends from the internet.
Find us wherever you download podcasts, and be sure to join the fun on social media at EverTrendingPod.
We are back. It's Russ from the Infectious Groove Podcast, and along with me is our friend Seth. Seth is a supporter of the show, a listener of the show, a many times contributor to the show, and has a few podcasts of his own. So at the end of the show, I'll give him a chance to give out his socials, or at least his Twitter handle, if you would like to go follow him, see what he's up to podcast-wise of his own shows, and you can go check those out. What we are going to do in this half of the episode is another one of our totally epic cover battles, and how these work is we take an original song that is usually fairly well known. Sometimes we do originals that aren't all that well known, but I would argue that this artist and this song is pretty well known. Then we do that against a cover that is definitely well known, and we tell you a little bit about both versions, and then we discuss what we like about the original, what we like about the cover, if there is anything we like about the original and the cover. Because sometimes that happens. We've had that happen.
It has happened.
Yep. Then we talk about which one is our personal favorites and why. And then on top of that, we add which one we would recommend that you go check out if you are interested in checking out the song and may have never heard either version. Or if you've heard one and you might want to go check out the other, we'll let you know if we think you should do that. So this week is kind of an interesting one because the original is by, I would argue, one of the most well-known and most praised lyricists of all time, Bob Dylan, who a lot of people like a lot about Dylan, but some people can't stand his voice. And the cover is covered by the singer of the band Guns N' Roses, is oftentimes the same way. Like, people either love or hate the guy's vocals, which is kind of an interesting thing because I don't think we've had a cover battle like that yet, where it's like we haven't done like somebody covering Rush, where Geddy Lee has a very divisive voice, and then somebody covered him with like a better a voice that more people can stand. You know what I mean?
Or like a Pearl Jam song with Adam Sandler covering it.
Right. Yeah. So the song Knockin' on Heaven's Door was originally released in 1973. It was written for the movie Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. It was included on the soundtrack, and it was actually written about one scene in specific in the movie where lawman Slim Pickens is dying, which is, if you listen to the lyrics, it's like very much dead on for what's happening in that scene. So Bob Dylan not getting very, like a lyricist who's very well known for metaphors and deeper lyrics. This is like a very straightforward lyric. The single went to top 10, many countries around the world. It's been covered by many, 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 many artists. The most notable, most notable of which that I can think of is Eric Clapton did a cover of it that was very well known. And then, of course, I think the most well-known cover of it, which is why we're doing this cover battle, is the Guns N' Roses cover of it. Now, here's the thing with the Guns N' Roses one. So usually when we do a cover battle, it's like there's one really well-known cover that comes out of something and then it blows up, right? Like, and the one that flies into my mind instantly is like Smooth Criminal by Alien Ant Farm, right? The Michael Jackson version was obviously a huge hit. And then the Alien Ant Farm version, when it came out, it like blew up immediately. Like, usually when people have a cover, it's not something that like boils up over time, which is
right.
Exactly what happened with the GNR cover of Knockin' on Heaven's Door. They actually started playing the song live in 1987, and live versions of the song were released officially, but on EPs outside the US. So it was never like officially released in the US. This is what's so crazy about this. There was an original studio version of the song that appeared on the Days of Thunder soundtrack, like well before the Use Your Illusion albums came out. And the version that's on the Days of Thunder soundtrack is like slightly different than the studio version that's on the Use Your Illusion albums. And then finally, what I guess you could call a final studio version came out on Use Your Illusion 2 in September of 1991. It was released as a single from Use Your Illusion, to also top the charts in many countries like Bob Dylan's version did. And it's been played at nearly every Guns N' Roses concert since 1987. And it's become very, very, very long over the years. When you listen to original cover versions by Guns N' Roses, it usually clocks in around 4.5 minutes. And I'm not kidding you. Now, when they play it like in the year 2023, it's like 20 minutes long now. So
it's a jam. It's a jam song.
It's, in my opinion, it's used as like everybody else gets a solo. So like Axl can go take like oxygen breaks and stuff. And I'm not even insulting him. Like, when you get old, you can't do what he does without that.
Yeah. I don't want to besmirch the good name of Axl Rose, but
I mean, it is what it is. When the guy's 60 and You know what I mean? So I'm certain I couldn't do half of what he does without an oxygen tank. So
same,
you know, yeah. So having said that, that is a breakdown. And that's why this particular thing is a little weird. It's not like, you know, Use Your Illusion came out in 1991 and then they released this as a single. It was like almost like GNR fans were almost tired of the song by the time it ended up on Use Your Illusion, because the rest of us have been listening to it for like 4 years prior, right?
Right.
So having said that, we always start off with what do you like about the original? I'll just kick us off with this. I literally had one note on this until I remembered something this afternoon. My one note on what do you like about the original is thanks for the lyrics, Bob. Like
you're really into the lyrics?
Yeah. Like, yeah, but that's it though. Like, I don't care about it at all the way the rest of the, I don't care for the arrangement. I'm not a Bob Dylan voice guy. Like, so I do have another note to share in a second, but literally up till I thought of something else this afternoon, my whole thought on it was, okay, well, thanks for writing this, Bob.
I guess I have a different appreciation for this song. I really enjoy Bob Dylan. I know that I think his voice has been in the rise. There's like certain people that like get made fun of their voice, like what Russ is saying. And Bob Dylan is one of those. And I feel like his time in the spotlight to be made fun of is like kind of happening again right now. But I do love Bob Dylan. His song is Michelle sized, like about just under 3 minutes, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I think Michelle would pick this one, but yeah, like you said, the other songs are about 5 minutes long on the recordings and even longer in person. But I did love Bob Dylan's version. I really appreciate the voice. I appreciate the chorus, the backup singers they had there, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not like it's hard to say like this song is so like a lot more about the song because it is such like a simple lyrics. Mm-hmm. There's like 2 verses and then just like jam.
Right. So what's interesting, and this is the thing I remembered this afternoon, what's funny is I never really liked the original arrangement of it at all. Like I didn't really care for it at all. Like you said, just like the verse and the chorus and the verse and then, you know, like a weird jam thing. But what's funny is when GNR completely broke up, which would have been somewhere around like 95, somewhere around there, 94, 95. And then the band completely, like the band and Axl just completely disappeared like off the planet. Right. And they came back in 2001, 2002 with like the completely new lineup. Right. So it was literally like Axl, Dizzy Reed, and like a bunch of people that, you know, and I have a long and storied history with this band, so I'm not trying to offend anybody when I say this, but like a bunch of people no one had heard of. Right. It's just like Axl Rose, Dizzy Reed, and then some other people. But on that tour in 2002, GNR, like that version of GNR would do Knockin' like the Dylan version.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, totally.
I need
different.
to find that.
Yeah, if you just go to YouTube and type like Guns Knockin' 2002, you'll find like any number of them from then. Okay. And so when they were doing that at the time, I was like, oh man, I really like their arrangement a lot more. I wish they were doing it like, you know, Guns used to do it or whatever. But it really grew on me like over the tour. Like the more I heard it, I was like, okay, yeah, I really dig that. So that's what all that is to say. What's weird is that GNR ended up helping me appreciate the Bob Dylan arrangement more. But
you just need a full fusion.
Right. Yeah.
you need Guns. Yeah. Guns playing their version, whatever. Yeah.
Right. So yeah. And don't worry though. They kind of, what's funny is that like on the next several tours from GNR, they kind of kept like evolving Knocking on Heaven's Door to where it ended up going back to how it was like on the usual
originally.
Yeah. Like their version anyway. So and now, like I say, it's literally, it's easy 20 minutes long when they do it now. It's insane. But they also have like the crowd sing along part and everything. That's like a big part of any GNR songs, like people wanting
they like to do call and response.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
So regarding the cover of the song, we always talk about what we like about the original, what we like about the cover. I will have you go first on this, Seth, because I honestly don't know. And I like when we do episodes like this where we haven't talked much about it. You know, I don't know what or if anything you like about the cover versions of it. So let me know what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, I know if you listened earlier in the season, we did a Man Who Sold the World cover battle. And like we mentioned in that cover battle, like we had heard the Nirvana version first, and that's how we found the original version. Right. So this is actually the same situation for me personally. I found the Guns N' Roses version as a young child in the mid 90s. And
I think, to be honest, I think a lot of people whether they want to admit it or not, I think a lot of people, the first time they ever knew Knocking on Heaven's Door was a version from Guns N' Roses.
And if you're not, you're lying.
You
say otherwise,
honestly, yeah. Unless you were like a teenager when Dylan was big, you know, and then you happen to be still in rock when GNR came out. Like if you were a younger person in the late 80s or the early 90s, I sincerely doubt anybody heard that and went, oh, that's that Bob Dylan song.
Like Bob, or like maybe Russ heard the Bob Dylan song when he was growing up or something, as a teenager.
Good one. All right. So anyways, so you thought it was a GNR song?
I liked it.
Yep.
I liked it. Yeah, I thought it was a GNR song. And then from there, I went and, listened to the Bob Dylan version and found my own appreciation for that. And I really like the Axl-ness of the covers, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, because, since I guess that maybe is not a shock for me, since I appreciate Dylan's voice, even though a lot of people make fun of it. I have the same affection towards Axl and his voice. Mm-hmm. So I really like what he brings here. And it's really good. And I really like toward maybe like mid to end of the recorded version, I really like the breakdown. And like, I thought that the bass part there is really sick. And whoever is playing the bass in that, I prefer the recorded version. So I'm not sure if that's a different cast or.
Yeah, no, at that time, even though GNR has become a revolving door of people at that time, the people playing on any live version you heard from 87 through like 92 would be the exact same people that are playing on the studio version of it. So it's Duff McKagan's playing the bass.
Duff. Cool.
On that stuff. So so here's the thing. First of all, the number one thing that I love about the GNR version, about any GNR version, is Axl's vocal range.
Yeah.
Is
insane.
I mean, if you just go from the verse of Knocking on Heaven's Door, where he's doing the lowest Axl sings, as soon as the chorus hits, he gets into like a mid range, and then by the end of the first chorus, he's singing higher than, I don't know, most anybody else can.
I was very taken aback because you did have me listen to the live version on Use Your Illusion. And there was like one high note where I was just like, holy shit, like this is insane. Yeah. There
was a big controversy, I don't know, about 10 years ago or so, because some program said scientifically Axl Rose has like the greatest vocal range ever, and like the whole world shit their pants over it. And Axl Rose even had to release a letter like apologizing to people for the fact that he's like got it. But it's fact. Like, it's a fact. The guy has an enormous vocal range that many people, whether or not you like the tone of his voice. Like, it's one thing I could see going, I don't like the sound of his voice, but like that doesn't mean that his vocal range is any smaller.
And his voice is so cool too, because it is so unique, and also like it pairs so well with the style of music that he makes. Like his voice almost becomes another instrument. When he's like singing that high, it almost becomes like a guitar shredding or something like that.
No, I totally agree. For me, now here's the thing. So I think this, like I say, with this particular cover, we're dealing with some weird things here, because it was like a hit in the US because radio was constantly playing those live versions that came out overseas. So it was a hit in the US from like mid 1987 on, until it finally came out on Use Your Illusion 2 in 1991. So people like me, we heard the original version, the live version, for like 4 years.
Right.
So I really, really, really like those versions. Like pretty much any live version from 1987 through 1990, because they're so crazy and loud and messy and just like, even if you listen to early enough versions of them doing it, you can hear like the sing-along, the call and response thing wasn't even automatic. Like you can hear it develop where they all of a sudden, like the crowd is singing along loud enough that it becomes a thing to do the call and response. And then the biggest problem I have with the studio version of it is because there's no live crowd and there's no call and response, you have Axl duetting with 1,000 Axls. Like, so
what else do you want?
Yeah, I know. There's probably no good way to do that, but still, it's just like he sings one and then 400 of him sings the other. And then, so it's just a little overdone for me. I will tell you that I think that although I love how messy and chaotic those early live versions are, I think Slash's guitar work in the studio version is far better than any of the live versions. And that includes after Use Your Illusion came out. Like, especially
Absolutely.
even after Use Your Illusion came out, if you go look on YouTube for like versions from 1992 and stuff, Slash is like really not sure what song they're playing when they're playing Knockin' on Heaven's Door. He's like really unsure. There's actually probably the most famous live version of it is probably from the Freddie Mercury tribute concert in 1992. They did it. And boy, did no one in the band has any idea what song they're playing at the same time.
No.
Yeah, it is really an interesting version of the song. Interesting is the best word I can use to describe it. So having said that, we talked through a little bit about what we liked about the original, what we like about the cover. Now it is our time to say which one is your favorite and why. And for me, this comes down to, not only do I prefer the GNR version of Knockin' on Heaven's Door, but I personally would prefer any version before the officially released version. So this is kind of a weird one because, like I said from the very top, like this is it's just a unique cover battle because, for people like me, there was one version of it that was a very big hit for like 4 years. And then there's the other version that like almost everybody else heard first. So yes, I prefer the GNR version. And even if you said, okay, but you have to pick the studio versions. So GNR, I still would pick the GNR studio version over Dylan. And it would with no disrespect to Bob. It's just the kind of music I grew up on. I like the louder drums and the loud guitar, and I like Axl's voice better than I like Bob's. And like I said earlier, thanks for writing the lyrics, Bob, but we'll take it from here. Like it's kind of how I feel. So which is your favorite and why, Seth?
Well, before I tell you, I just have to tell you this really funny short story about the song that I was reading, because I was reading a little bit about the song just to, be prepared like a professional. And I thought it was really interesting. Someone did an interview with Bob Dylan, and I forget all of the circumstances, but basically the story goes that Bob and Guns N' Roses were backstage or at some event together. And Bob asks Axl and the band, when are you going to record, do a studio version of that song? I want to get paid.
Oh, well, yeah, why not?
Because I guess, because Guns N' Roses took that song to such like a new level and made it so popular on their own. He was like, so when am I going to get paid for like your big, moment here?
He must have got paid too, because Use Your Illusions, both of them sold like wildfire. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, he sold all of his song rights now. So.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, everybody
doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know.
But to pick my favorite version, I'm kind of like going in the middle here. I would pick the Guns N' Roses studio version. To me, that's just like the melding of like the things that I really like about Dylan's version and the Guns N' Roses version.
Yeah, for sure. I can see that. Yeah.
The live recording, it's not a bad performance or anything. This is not anything about the performance or the playing or anybody singing. It's just the recording is not the best. Right, and I know we talked about this before, Russ, that you and I are really interested in being able to hear the lyrics. And I struggled to hear the lyrics in that recorded version of the live.
Well, I would also argue Axl probably didn't really know what the lyrics were. I guess he was probably mumbling them at best at the time. But yeah, some of those live versions are so good, but I hear what you're saying. So now which version would you recommend and why? Like for me, like I say, it took GNR reinventing the way that they do the song before I was fully appreciated the Dylan version. But for me, honestly, I would still recommend GNR. Like if it were up to me and somebody asked me like, hey, Knockin' on Heaven's Door, I always hear that phrase. Is that a song? Which version should I listen to? Honestly, I would just tell you to listen to GNR's version and honestly, really any version. I always try and get people to listen to live versions of Knockin' on Heaven's Door, but again, I would just say, okay, well, yeah, if you really want to hear the studio version, then listen to that. Again, I don't no disrespect toward Bob Dylan, but I just would never in a million years recommend that version of the song to anybody. If I was going to recommend a version of the song, it would be the Guns N' Roses one. So Seth, somebody walks up to you on the street. Let's say it was a woman named Michelle. And she says, I don't know music very well. I've heard of a song called Knocking on Heaven's Door. Which version should I listen to? Which one would you tell her?
I would tell Michelle to listen to the Guns N' Roses version, just because I do like that version better, like we've just discussed. It's the version I heard first. I have more of a bond with it. Like, I don't know if this is like too adventurous to say, but I thought that Guns N' Roses really took the song and elevated it. Like,
yeah, no, I think so too.
So I would definitely recommend that version to people, but I still would recommend the Bob Dylan version, even though it sounds like you probably would not even bring it up.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody asked me, like, is it worth listening to the Dylan version? Like, I wouldn't be like, no, don't ever listen to that, but I wouldn't tell you. I mean, what's funny is with streaming, it's like, I used to say the phrase, well, I wouldn't tell you to go out of your way to listen to it, and by that, I usually meant like, don't go buy the Dylan CD to hear it,
Right.
But like now it's like that kind of doesn't matter anymore. So it's like, yeah, if you think of it someday, I guess bring it up on streaming, but like, let me put it this way. Don't write it on a Post-it note that you need to remind yourself to listen to the Dylan version.
And when I listen to Bob Dylan music, this is like a song that's like kind of towards the bottom of the list of songs that I want to hear.
Right. Yeah.
So there's that as well.
Yeah, I would say that if, like what you said about GNR elevating the song in many different ways, if Guns N' Roses hadn't done that song, I don't think anybody would remember this as a Bob Dylan song. Like you said, I think there's like a dozen that people would mention before they ever mentioned the song.
Well, there's just so many great things that various members of Guns N' Roses did. I mean, you have Duff, so like his bass playing is insane, and he just is so tight in the pocket on that groove. Axl's just unique voice and his ability to sing so high. You have that. You have Slash's guitar solo. I mean, this man is like, him and Zakk Wylde are like Tom Morello. There's like the trifecta of like guitar players. So
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those were our thoughts on the song Knocking on Heaven's Door, Bob Dylan versus the Guns N' Roses version. We always ask for feedback, and yeah, we have one more episode of this show, of the audio podcast to go. Tons more coming on YouTube, but we have, one more episode of the audio podcast coming. So by all means, let us know what you think of the Bob Dylan version versus really any Guns N' Roses version. Again, it's funny with streaming now, if you go on there and, previously, for years, if somebody said, Knocking on Heaven's Door by Guns N' Roses, somebody would immediately reach for a copy of Use Your Illusion 2. But now on streaming, you can just go type in Guns N' Roses Knockin', and there's like, 5 different versions that come up because of all the live versions.
You could make a whole playlist of live versions.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, take your time, listen to some different versions from GNR and let us know what we think. Or if you're a diehard Dylan guy and you've always hated the GNR version or whatever, let us know. Either way, make sure to say, get some feedback in to let us know which one you prefer. Now, earlier,
this is your last chance for feedback.
Yeah, this is pretty much
on the audio podcast.
Yeah, to have it read on the audio podcast. Earlier in the show, I did mention that Seth is on socials and has a couple of different shows. So if people want to come and check out your socials or want to listen to your podcast after they've heard this episode, where are they going to go do that?
Sure. So there's a few different routes you can take. I deleted one of the podcasts. We deleted the Twitter, so you can't really go interact on that. But if you want to just like talk to me or like listen to my silly complaints and rants on Twitter, you're more than welcome to come to my personal page. It's at HomoSethual. And that's just where you can find me and where I'm most active. But if you're interested in going to the podcast page, you can go to...
Well, it appears we got the episode finished just in time because in mid-sentence, Seth had some sort of internet issue or power issue or something along those lines and dropped out. So at least we were at the very end of the episode before that occurred. Having said that, I can finish up for Seth and tell you that if you want to check out his music podcast, it is available on Spotify and everywhere you find podcasts. It's the Treble Podcast. So go check that out. And thank you very much, Seth, for helping us out with this episode. Having said that, next week on the program, it is the final episode of the audio side of the Infectious Groove Podcast. And I say final in kind of Dr. Evil quotes because it will be something that's just for a little while. We will have episodes here now and again and whatnot, but we will not have regular episodes of the program coming out every single week. So next week is going to be a fun one, and I would assume bittersweet. Michelle and Kyle will be along with me, and we will have quite a good time. We'll do our regular stuff. We'll read your feedback from this week. we will do our jammy jams. And then the second half of the episode, we're just going to kind of freeform, talk through a whole bunch of things from the past couple of years and send the show off on hiatus the best way we know how. So that is coming up next week. But like we always say about this time, without music, life would be a mistake. Bye.
The Infectious Groove Podcast is hosted by Russ Robinson, Kyle Wimple, and Michelle Koselecki. Produced and edited by Russ Robinson. Intro and outro music composed by Chris Kimmel. Recorded with a Rode Podcaster Pro and Rode Pod mics.